Let's roll. Call to order our City Council working group session for today. We have a quorum. I think our Mayor Pro Tem is coming. Should be a little late. On Thursday, we'll have roll call by Ms. Adams, invocation by Reverend Donna from the Grace Passage of the Four Vets, pledge allegiance by Mr. Rodriguez, who is experiencing a happy birthday today. He looks 23. Sweet. Times two. There you go. Then we have acceptance of our agenda and city manager report. Ma'am?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Chuck is out all week. He's in Florida, enjoying hopefully a nice vacation. I'll have a couple of things on Thursday night to share with you. I'll save most of that for Thursday night. Right now, I just want to share that the CCOM board meeting for this week has been moved to next week since Chuck is on vacation.
Any questions, comments for?
Then what day is that?
Next Thursday.
Next
so
Thursday?
1 week from this Thursday.
Okay, Thursday.
I think
Thank you.
it's the 16th.
Thank you. And that's at 9, right?
Yes,
Okay,
at
thank-
CCOM.
9
Sorry.
o'clock.
Thank you.
Then we go to item number 2. Mr. Johnson has that. And
You have to take a couple of breaths on that one.
understand. And with item 3, discussion of possible action of ordinance 2023-10, staff report, Mr. McLaughlin.
Is that the RV Park Overlay District?
Yes, RV Park overlay.
Slides prepared.
Yes.
Presentation slide 2.
Okay, good afternoon, Mr. Mayor, members of council. This is a request to assign the RV Park Overlay District to the Garden Grove site, formerly known as Garden Canyon Mobile Home Park. The property consists of 2 tax parcels encompassing just over 14 acres of property, located between South Garden Avenue and South Carmichael Avenue, just south of Wilcox. The property is bordered by Garden Terrace single-family neighborhood to the south, Sterling Point Apartments, and the Edge Townhomes to the east, a mix of commercial uses to the north, and Fort Huachuca to the west. The property was acquired by GL Garden Canyon LLC in August 2020. Many of you recall under the previous ownership, the site sat virtually idle for many years. Most of the units on the property were pre-HUD homes that were substandard to our current housing codes. The units were boarded up to prevent vandalism. There were several arson fires on the property that went unresolved. Over the past couple years, the property has been cleared out. New landscaping has been installed. The electrical has been upgraded. New landscaping has been put in. You can see this is what the park looks like currently. The northern row of spaces are occupied by recreational vehicles. The park has 231 spaces currently under the manufactured home residence zoning district. The maximum percentage of spaces that could be devoted to recreational vehicle use is 30%, which equates to 69 spaces. So they're under the 69 space cap currently. They have a desire to transform this property into an RV resort, and that's why they're making application for the RV Overlay District. Here's a view from South Garden Avenue with the, as you can see, the recreational vehicles along the north property line. The current land use on the property is high-density residential. As I had mentioned, the zoning is MHR, which allows for manufactured home residences. The review criteria that will guide your consideration on this application are the need and justification for the change, the rezoning is compatible with Vista 2030, and whether the rezoning benefits the general public welfare and does not constitute a special privilege. So looking at the suitability of the site, the need and justification for the rezoning is to facilitate its redevelopment, revitalization, repositioning of a once largely abandoned manufactured home park that's been a source of blight and criminal nuisance activity for many years. Manufactured homes have gotten larger since the park was originally developed, and existing sites are not designed for modern homes without them being combined. Recreational vehicles use the same hookups and utilities as manufactured homes, using a smaller footprint, making them a more economically viable use. The RV spaces will fit vehicles up to 55 feet in length. They already have concrete pads, electrical service, water and sewer hookup, and Wi-Fi. The property is on the west end, close to restaurants, retail, and services, and close to the main gate of Fort Huachuca. And the property is relatively flat and located outside the 100-year flood zone. In terms of access to the property, there are 4 driveways that connect with South Garden Avenue, which is a local street that parallels Buffalo Soldier Trail, designated as a major arterial on the traffic circulation plan. And there are also 2 driveways that connect with South Carmichael Avenue, a collector street, with capacity available to accommodate the anticipated trips resulting from this redevelopment. We're currently in the procurement stage for installing new sidewalks along South Carmichael Avenue that will provide pedestrian access between the Garden Grove and nearby parks and community uses. We anticipate those sidewalks to be completed first part of next year, with increased accessibility to transit stops as well. In reviewing this request against the city's general plan, we met the citizen participation requirement through our notification process and the neighborhood meeting that was held by the applicant. As I had mentioned, providing access between the site and connections to alternate transportation, such as multi-use paths and sidewalks, and continuing the city's commitment to revitalize and redevelop the West End and making Sierra Vista the hub for tourist activities in southeastern Arizona. We are recommending some conditions with the rezoning. The development code requires that recreation vehicle spaces over the 30% threshold provide at least 1 washer and dryer per 25 spaces, 1 men's and women's shower per 50 spaces, that storage units be installed on 25% of the designated recreation vehicle spaces above the 30% threshold. There are no less than 180 cubic feet in size. And all this was developed into the RV overlay district that was passed by the council 2 years ago, again, to provide manufactured home park owners flexibility in terms of, repositioning their properties to accommodate a higher percentage of recreational vehicle parks or recreational vehicles based on the market, while preserving the underlying zoning to revert back without the need for a subsequent rezoning. If the market doesn't pan out, they could go back to a manufactured home park use. How they'll implement those conditions, we have a preliminary site plan, and they're in the process of preparing building permits for the clubhouse and the bathhouses. You can see there that a subsequent phase, this will be a continuous project, but up front they're going to be doing the building portion and then follow up with the pool. The landscaping will be included as part of the building construction. That was a question posed by the Planning and Zoning Commission. Here's kind of a conceptual rendering of what that could look like upon development. And you see that green space across the RV parking drive aisle, that's a dog park, okay? They currently have it fenced. It's not landscaped, or the equipment has been installed, but it has been designated, and they intend to create a dog park at that location on the property. Here's another view of what the outdoor area will look like behind the clubhouse. As I had mentioned, we notified property owners within a 500-foot radius of the property. We did receive a comment from a resident on Witt Drive concerned about the increase in people and RVers using dirt bikes or bringing their dirt bikes and ATVs with them. I spoke with Good Venture, the business affiliated with the property owner. And to date, most of their clientele are contract workers that are here for a job. They are trying to expand the marketing to bring in more tourists to the property. But they do not anticipate, not even a minor percentage, bring in like ATVs and dirt bikes with them. Driving them off-site through the neighborhoods. If anything, they would probably visit the trails associated with the mountain range and all that. They did hold a virtual meeting, and no members of the public attended that one. Last week on Monday, the P&Z held a public hearing, and no public also attended that meeting. I did speak with Mrs. Mills, and just to clarify her concern about, an increase in population, explaining that, the site does have potential for manufactured homes, which would bring in people, and it's more, in her view, the level of commitment of those people to the neighborhood, being, the renters would be there year round versus, tourists coming for, short periods of time, a more transient nature, maybe not having the same affiliation or sense of community as, a manufactured home park. And that's really the root of what she expressed in terms of a comment, and she intends on being here on Thursday to elaborate on that. So with that, I'll answer any questions you may have.
Questions, comments? Yes, ma'am.
Yeah. Oh, I'm sorry.
Go ahead.
Okay. Thank you. I've been impressed with the work they've done so far. Like every time I drive by, seeing it get cleaned up, and then seeing the new, I don't know if they're RVs or some. I see a lot of. They're in nice shape. All the lots are clean, and maybe they're like tiny home. I don't know if they're like, full timers or not. But they take good care of their thing. It looks really good so far. So I don't feel any hesitancy moving forward with this to expand their offering of RV sites. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Yes, I appreciate the what you put together. Going out there, it looks amazing, right? From where, like she mentioned, years before, driving up BST, I drive that way every day, and before it was definitely an eyesore, but now it looks amazing, and there's no more arsons going on, because there's no more empty trailers. It's great. That whole left side is full of RVs now. On the left side, they're full, all the way down to where they have those tiny homes kind of built. Mm-hmm. So it's good. I talked to some residents that live there. They're appreciative. They're happy. They're using the dog park already. Mm-hmm. It's cool. It's a cool little dog park. It's got some stuff set up. So the dogs are happy, which is good. They have showers already set up. In the meantime, the residents are happy because right now it's free laundry, which is, everybody loves that. So, obviously it's new, so hopefully that lasts a good while for them. But, so that's good. I like that as well. And I looked at every RV there, and there was no, I didn't see a bunch of ATVs and dirt bikes. If anything, on Carmichael Road I did, in the houses, in the neighborhood, not in the park. So I think those are probably coming from Carmichael Road, not from the trailer park, not from the Garden Grove. That's what I saw anyway today, just driving around. So, which is good, and I'm looking forward to, this artist rendition coming true. Hopefully, it looks very nice. But yes, I like this, especially when it comes to affordable housing. Right, we talk about that all the time. Every city talks about affordable housing, how to do that, how to fix that. This is definitely a solution there. It's not the solution, but I think it's a good way to go in the meantime for people, and also being in the military. I know how many people I know in the military that have RVs and trailers that travel during when they PCS. They want to bring their whole family, and Fort Huachuca, a lot of times they're full at their little RV park. So this definitely gives another option to anybody, like you said, contractors, soldiers that work on the base. So I'm very impressed with the way it's going. So hopefully it continues to go well.
Thank you, sir.
Okay, thanks.
And
I'm sorry, Mr. Mayor, did we already discuss item 2? Because I was a couple minutes late.
Yes,
Is it annexation?
Mr. Matt,
The pre-annexations, did they already ask you questions about that?
Look, yeah.
Well, it's on the consent agenda, and,
Yeah.
it's pretty routine procedure that we go through, and essentially it delegates authority to the city to proceed on the owner's behalf on any future annexation petition. I did receive a question about the commercial property on Fry that is one of the pre-annexation agreements. And like any other pre-annexation agreement, we review and assess the potential for following up with an annexation petition. Typically, when there's a grouping of properties in the vicinity that comply with the state statutory requirements for the contiguity and configuration of the annexation area, we certainly could proceed with the one property on Fry and bring that into the city as a subsequent action to the pre-annexation agreement if there was a consensus and desire of council to move in that direction.
Okay, so you already know what I was
Yeah.
gonna ask about. Because I was curious why, if they're already surrounded by the city, why we weren't just going forward with annexation, but, if it's because you're waiting for the other property.
Ideally, yeah, there would be multiple properties that we would take in with an annexation petition. There's a lot of process involved and expense. However, based on it being commercial and the tax revenue that it would provide, there could be justification for proceeding individually with just that one parcel. Again, the pre-annexation agreement, it just kind of streamlines the process, provides certainty during the annexation process because, again, we have power of attorney to proceed on the owner's behalf with the annexation petition, which could be one parcel or it could be, more than one parcel depending on the disposition of the property owners around it. So, expect a annexation petition to follow. It could be that commercial property individually, or it could be some of the other residential pre-annexation properties where we have pre-annexation agreements. We are proactively reaching out to those property owners that previously expressed interest to try to obtain pre-annexation agreements, and it's a process. More information to follow
Yes, sir.
in terms of an official petition for annexation.
Okay, thank you.
no problem. Yes, sir.
I just have a comment. So that same area, the little playhouse, Flora, the Black Rose tattoo, and then the commercial vacancy behind it, right? That is zoned for general business only right now. It's not zoned for apartment style living, correct, at current, right?
Well, under the county zoning, I'm not sure what
This
their
one says
allowances
general
are.
business, but
Yeah, that's the county designation. It would come over as general commercial. That's our closest equivalent.
okay.
And our general commercial zoning district does allow multifamily housing.
Right.
It would nonetheless be grandfathered
Okay.
due to its
Being from the county, whatever it is.
existence at the time of the annexation.
Right on.
Not
Okay.
okay, all right.
Thank you. And the other one's off 7th Street is just that old baseball card shop that has, it's like baseball card and then empty buildings and then a lot, right next to the hair salon
Yeah.
on 7th Street, right next to the cemetery. Okay. And I don't think anybody, it's all vacant though right now, I think. I don't think anybody's using that at all.
I think it's
I think we had something to do with its vacancy.
Yeah.
good.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
Okay, so we go to item number 4, discussion of action of resolution 2023-087. Mr. Pregler.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Mayor and members of council. If it's okay with your permission, I'd like to kind of present these 3 items with one presentation. Simply because I think it's more of you get a more holistic view of these 3 items if I give this one presentation.
Yes,
So I'm gonna
sir.
do that. Okay, thank you. So this is a request for reviewing Buffalo Soldier Ranch final plat. As you can see, the location of the plat is located just east of the Holiday Retreat subdivision, just east of the traffic circle that connects Canada Flores and Golden Acres Drive, and again, just, I guess, northwest of Golden Acres subdivision with the highway, again, Highway 82 further west. Before I get into the specifics of the three items, I want to kind of go over a little bit of a history of this project. Let me. Oh, there we go. Okay. So the preliminary plat for this project was actually submitted in May of 2005. And then subsequent to that, the preliminary plat and the development agreement were approved by City Council on May 25th, 2006. About a year later, the final plat was submitted in March of 2007, and then once again in 2010. Now, in 2010, the developer requested that the review be postponed due to the market conditions, and the property has remained vacant ever since. Now, the owner, during that time, did receive a letter of water adequacy from the Arizona Department of Water Resources on June 6, 2011. Now, the property has recently been, or will be purchased by a new property owner, Canyon Vista LLC, and they have resubmitted this final plat and the public improvements for final approval. The improvement plans have been conditionally approved by Public Works. And I do want to say that in 2010, there was maybe only one or two items outstanding before the final plat could be taken to City Council. So there were a couple of minor items. The city staff has reviewed these items, and the plat has been found to be satisfactory, meeting all city and development code requirements. So approval of the plat by City Council will allow the development of the subdivision.
Mr. Mayor, I have a question.
Yes, sir.
If you could go back, is that letter of water adequacy from the ADWR still valid, even though it's quite old?
Yes.
Okay,
Yes.
because, everybody says, oh, no, here's another development. Are we going to run out of water? That's why I asked the question.
Yeah, and that's actually a good question, Councilmember Johnson. If you look at the water adequacy letter from Pueblo del Sol Water Company, there actually is an expiration date of 2032. If you look at this ADWR letter for the subdivision, there actually is no expiration date on it, so it is still valid.
Okay, thank you. Thank you.
So the developer is asking for three specific requests. One is requesting the City Council consider an amendment to the development agreement, as some of the conditions are no longer applicable. Consideration of a phasing plan, which will be an amendment to the preliminary plat. Again, the final plat has to be consistent with the preliminary plat, so we're bringing this in as an amendment to the preliminary plat. And then finally, consider approval of the final plat. So let me kind of give you some specifics on the plat. So the land use designation for the property is medium density residential. The zoning is single family residence 8, and they're proposing single family detached homes on the property. The lot sizes range from 8,000 to 15,000 square feet, and there's a total of 349 lots. The total gross acreage is 110 acres. The developer is proposing to phase the property into 5 separate phases. I'll get to that in a second, more specific on that. In terms of the drainage, drainage will generally flow east. There are 6 detention basins with additional drainage channels. All washes, basins, and drainage ways will be dedicated to the city. Any offsite drainage will meet development code requirements. The roadways themselves will be 34 feet in width and will all be public and dedicated to the city. There are 3 total accesses on the property. There are 2 accesses off of Canada Flores / Golden Acres Drive down here, and then 1 access will be north to Buffalo Soldier Trail. Again, I'll talk a little bit more about that as part of the development agreement. So a total of 3 accesses on the property. So this is the proposed phasing plan on the project. As I said before, the developer is proposing 5 separate phases. Phase 1 will have 47 lots, Phase 2, 86 lots, Phase 3, 88 lots, Phase 4, 64 lots, Phase 5, 64 lots as well. The build-out for each of the phases is 2 years. Ultimate build-out will be a 10-year ultimate build-out. And you'll notice that each of the phases has its own individual basin, Basin A for Phase 1, Basin C for Phase 2, and so on and so forth. Again, this is a requirement from Public Works to ensure that there was appropriate drainage for each phase of the subdivision. So I now want to talk a little bit about the development agreement conditions. Now, there are 3 conditions. Two conditions will be removed, and 1 condition will actually be amended. Condition number 3 on the agreement will tie the completion of the landscaping on Canada Flores Drive to the inspection of public improvements of Phase 1 of the final plat. Now, the current agreement states that the landscaping is tied to the extension of the Canada Flores roadway. Of course, this was completed back in 2013 with the ADOT safety project. So that's no longer applicable. So it was revised to now state that the landscaping has to be completed at the time that public improvements Phase 1 are inspected. Condition number 4 was removed from the development agreement. Again, this was specific to the Canada Flores extension. Again, as I said, it's already been completed. Condition number 5 was also removed. This relates to offsite drainage. The development code currently addresses offsite drainage. At the time the development agreement was written, there was nothing in the development code that addressed offsite drainage. So now, because it is in the code, there's no longer a need to have this condition in the development agreement, and a security is also no longer needed as well, provided they meet all the development code requirements. So, what is currently in the development code and what's going to remain? So, we look at number 1, condition 1 in the development agreement, will require the developer to provide a 6-foot block wall along the rear of the lots, as you see highlighted there, because it's adjacent to light industrial zoning district. I believe RDI is directly north of the subdivision, and so as a way to buffer some of these homes from the industrial uses to the north, we're requiring the developer construct a 6-foot block wall, that they add additional landscaping to the backyards, and also to disclose to the potential home buyer that they will be residing next to a light industrial uses. So that's condition number 1 in the development agreement. Number 2 is we're requiring the developer to construct and provide a 10-foot wide multi-use path along the drainage way located right here. And the great thing about providing this drainage way is it's going to connect to the drainage way in the Holiday Retreat subdivision exactly to the west. So it'll be a nice connection there, all the way from Great Basin Lane to ultimately Splendor Drive, which is located right here. Number 3, I previously mentioned earlier, this has to do with the landscaping. This is the area that will be required to be landscaped prior to the acceptance of the Phase 1 public improvements. Condition number 4 is that by the 150th building permit issuance, that this third access be constructed and connected to, again, the Buffalo Soldier Trail located up here. The development code currently requires 2 access per 100 lots. And so they'll be meeting that with the first phase here, as it'll encompass both accesses. And of course, the third access will be constructed with that 150th building permit. So they'll be meeting the requirements both in the code and the development agreement for accesses. And then finally, number 5, the developer is required to provide a multi-use path, an 8-foot wide multi-use path on Splendor Drive, which will connect not only the subdivision and the multi-use path and the drainage way, but also connect it to, again, Buffalo Soldier Trail as well. I guess, let me kind of show you where I go back to the aerial here. So, okay, this is where the proposed ALA school is going to be located at. So Buffalo Soldier Trail is actually going to be improved up to about this point right here. So there'll be curb gutter, sidewalk, and pavement up to this point here. It's going to be half-width right-of-way improvements, so it'll just be the north side that'll have all the improvements. But we're getting a little bit closer to the access, which is located right here. This is the third access for the subdivision. And you can see there's a little bit of a gap here between the ALA school and the Buffalo Soldier Trail improvements and the improvements to this third access right here. eventually, again, this is a 10-year build-out, and this would be, hopefully by then there might be some more additional improvements along Buffalo Soldier Trail. Okay, let me go back. Now, the Development Review Committee did recommend approval of the final plat on November 3rd. I do also want to mention that the plat is consistent with the general plan with Goal 2-1, encourage open space areas and recreational amenities for new developments. Goal 3-2, ensure local roads allow pedestrians and bicycle connections to washes, parks, open space, and multi-use paths. So in addition to your resolution approving the final plat, you'll also be accepting a subdividers agreement and a third-party trust agreement. Again, what the subdividers agreement is, it's basically the developer's obligations in terms of the timing for the public improvements. And the third-party trust is that security to ensure that these public improvements are actually completed. So in addition to the subdividers agreement, you actually have a cost estimate from an engineer which identifies the costs of all the public improvements for phase. There's actually a blank in the subdividers agreement when it comes to the actual cost estimates, simply because the cost estimate's broken down per phase, and it's easier just to attach it as an exhibit rather than fill in that blank in terms of the amount in the subdividers agreement itself. So with that does conclude staff's report. I'll be happy to answer any questions you have.
Questions, comments? Yes, sir.
Just comments. If you go back to that slide that has all the numbers on it, please.
This one or
The other one, that one.
This one.
Yeah. My only concern is the number 3 where that entrances are. Because right now, that is to the east of that traffic circle,
That's right.
and that's a one-way. So to get to that entrance, like if you come out, you can turn right. But if you're coming in from that traffic circle, you're on the other side of the road, and you got to go down to Golden Acres and turn around and come back. So I don't know. So you see where that traffic circle is?
Right.
As you go towards Golden Acres, that road splits, and there's a median. There's a big grass median in the left or whatever in the middle of it. So it's not like, see, you can't turn left into that where that would proposed entrances would be.
Oh, I see.
You can't turn left. You have to go all the way down to Golden Acres, turn around, and then come back.
Oh.
Right. So, who would be like when that improvement? I'm sure if I lived there, I wouldn't want to have to go down and turn left. I can just. Who would say? I would say, man, who built this road? Right. Who built this road into my neighborhood where I can only turn right to come out and can't turn left to come in, which we hear a lot when certain things are built. So that's one of my concerns is there. Up top, our $2 million is only going to go so far that we're roped into already for the Buffalo Soldier Trail extension, right? So like you mentioned, there's going to be a gap. So it's going to be nice Buffalo Soldier Trail and then dirt, right? So that's what you're saying. And then dirt in the neighborhood. So it'd be a mess. My concern is what's happening now on 92 and Buffalo Soldier. All the trucks coming out of the industrial place, pushing all that gravel out into the 92, which makes it unsafe. So that concerns me where those two meet, where that current county road meets our soon-to-be Buffalo Soldier Road. I don't know, it just seems like it's gonna be a messy meetup right there until, I'm sure it's not gonna be, like you said, hopefully people will develop it further down. But those are my two concerns, is the access into that neighborhood.
Yeah, thank you, Mayor McCaw and Councilmember Rodriguez. In terms of the development agreement itself, that can always be amended down the road. So if it looks like we're getting to year 10 and there's not any improvements along Buffalo Soldier Trail, we can always make an amendment to the development agreement if need be and adjust that condition accordingly. In terms of the accesses along Golden Acres Drive, you're correct. I think there's a median there in front of the Buffalo Soldier Trail. So what may have to occur in that case is to ask for a right-of-way permit to add a curb cut along there if possible. I don't know, Sharon, do you want to have any comments on that?
Yeah, Mr. Mayor, Councilman Rodriguez. So I actually reviewed this subdivision when it came in like 15 years ago. And I think, if I'm recalling, there were improvement plans for Golden Acres Drive that included a median cut, some sort of a thing across the median. I can't really remember because it's been a long time, but we would have no issue if it wasn't covered back then, because this area has been redone with the traffic circle since then. We would have no issue with approving a median cut in that location to facilitate access to the neighborhood.
Okay.
other questions? Yes, ma'am.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Mr. Rodriguez. So as far as Buffalo Soldier Trail extension goes, so if I'm doing the math right in my head, they won't need to build that access into the development for approximately 4 to 5 years if their phasing goes as planned. So it would give us time to plan for extending the pavement on that road, and we could do that. But it doesn't affect it today. There will be no access from Buffalo Soldier Trail today for probably approximately 5 years.
Okay, I mean, that's a good point, because I guess if you go with the phasing, that's the timeline, phase 5 says 2033, but, I mean, I don't know, but that's, how good that is or not, how good that math is, but, okay, thank you.
Yes, ma'am.
I can't remember the numbers from the planning and zoning work session last month, and wasn't there a proposed narrowing of the streets, residential streets in the code? Is it 34 feet, like what's in here? I just don't remember the.
Councilmember Mayor McCaw, Councilmember Humphrey, what you're referring to is the new roadway design manual.
Yes.
And what they're proposing is to reduce some of those local roadways from 34 feet to 32 feet. In this case, their improvement plans back in 2010 proposed 34 feet, and they're continuing to propose 34 feet. So they're actually will be exceeding the minimum width standards for roadways.
Yeah, why are we doing that? If we're gonna go to 32 feet anyway.
Right. Well, again, I guess the preliminary plat showed 34 feet. The improvement plans have indicated 34 feet. This has been in place for about 10 years. I suppose they can go back and amend if the developer would like to amend the improvement plans. They're more than welcome to do that.
And again, Mr. Mayor, Mayor Pro Tem Humphrey, we're still in the proposed stage of that roadway manual being adopted. We presented a work session to Planning and Zoning Commission. This application is before you now, and so we can't deviate from the adopted code standards at this time.
Okay.
However, after they take effect, assuming they clear Planning and Zoning Commission and City Council, they could potentially amend those improvement plans to reduce the pavement width.
Because eventually we'll be taking ownership of the streets.
That's correct.
Okay, I don't want to delay approving this, but it's something that.
Sir?
Is there, I see a lot of lots here. Is there any provisions for any parks within this subdivision?
Mayor McCaw, Councilmember Johnson, there is no requirement for parks in the subdivision. Like I said, there is the multi-use path to the north. It's interesting. When this subdivision was originally going to be constructed, we had Ventana de Flores specific plan to the south, which had a number of parks in it. And of course, we had the Tribute specific plan to the north, which also had a number of parks in it. So this was kind of in the middle of both of those large areas which are going to dedicate a number of public parks to the city. Of course, that hasn't happened over the years, and Ventana de Flores still sits vacant, and we all know what's going to happen with the Tribute. Who knows? So at the time it was originally going to be platted, there was really not a need for additional parks at the time.
Yeah, I guess that's a good point. I mean,
Yes, sir.
I would think if I looked at phase 5, instead of being up against RDI as my backyard, I'd make that a park, because that lines up right to this path, this multi-use path. But I'm not the person who's making this neighborhood. But if it was me, and I would ask, like, hey, would you want to buy this house if it had a park, or would you want to buy this house if it had a backyard facing construction places? All right, that would be my thing. But again, I'm not the person here making this neighborhood. But that would I like that point about the park, because unfortunately we had another neighborhood that's not going to happen anymore north of it that was going to have some parks. But that definitely would be nice. Things definitely have changed since 2000, whenever this thing started, 7. Yeah, that's definitely something that I would have considered if I was building it, or if we had any. Yes.
Ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, Councilmember Rodriguez. So I think one thing to keep in mind too is the vast majority of our developments over the course of the community's history were approved without parks. Only our very largest proposed subdivision, Tribute, would have included a number of parks. One of our other newer subdivision, Chaparral Village, included one park. So as a whole, what the community has looked at is large parks within proximity to a large number of neighborhoods. So where Buffalo Soldier Ranch, Canyon de Flores, Holiday, which I don't know, Holiday also does not have parks within it, do they?
They have
Or
a
they
private, they have a
they have
private
park?
Yeah.
But part of the reason that the future Roadrunner Park is so large is because it would serve such a large area. So they will be right down the road on Canyon de Flores Drive from a very large regional park. So I just wanted to remind you that most of our subdivisions, and this is a rather small one, do not have parks included in them. The way parks have developed around the community has kind of been here or there, so a lot of these have not been planned over history with parks included in them.
Thank you. Thank you. Any more questions, comments? Thank you, sir. Your three are wrapped up. We go to Resolution 2023-090, the renewal of IGA between SVPD and Phoenix Police Department. Chief Heiser.
Good afternoon, Mayor, members of council. With this resolution, I'm requesting renewal of an already existing IGA that we have with the Phoenix Police Department. The Phoenix Police Department is the lead agency in the state for the Internet Crimes Against Children Task Force, something that we belong to now for over 5 years. A little bit of history on that. As far back as when I was a detective sergeant, if the larger agencies in the valley, which were kind of the hub for a lot of the crimes against children internet cases, a lot of those internet service providers, if it was an Arizona case, it'd go to them. They determine the appropriate jurisdiction, and they'd send it to us if it was in Sierra Vista. So we would be getting these cases anyway. Renewal of this IGA isn't any extra work for us. What it does allow us is to have access to more resources from Phoenix Police Department if we have a big case that we need assistance with. The other benefit to this is being a task force member makes us eligible for an ICAC grant. And that grant is actually really critical for us. And in fact, we do have unofficial confirmation that very soon, on the heels of this being approved, I'll be able to present to you another renewal of that grant. That grant is used to pay for forensic computer equipment as well as computer forensic training. The reason why that's important for us is right now at the Sierra Vista Police Department, we have one dedicated detective who's the primary computer forensics guy. These cases are tough cases. You're looking at some bad stuff here. And I have some other detectives interested in taking on that training to work these cases, and I need to spread these cases out, so I'm going to be pursuing that grant so we could expand our ability to take on these cases amongst more than one detective right now. So that's kind of in a nutshell what this renewal is. Be happy to take any questions.
Thank you, sir. Any questions, comments?
Yes, sir. Like you mentioned, we've done this for a while. I appreciate the hard work they do. It's a tough job, but anything that we can do to save kids against the horrible things that people are doing, and it's sad when it happens here in our community, but I'm glad they put their faces out there and tell people who they are. They do a very good job of that. I agree with that. Good, keep doing that, because we don't need people like that in our community. And also, on a side note, totally unrelated, nice facial hair. I like it.
Thank you.
I like the facial hair coming in. I like all the officers going around with their little. Some of them are trying. Some of them are doing better than others, but
Not this long.
Give me a week, it'll look better.
It looks
I
good.
just started, but it's no shade November for Sierra Vista.
November, I like it. Movember.
You know what? I'm gonna grow the chops again.
Do it. I love those chops.
Yeah.
Hold on.
Yeah. All right. Shaft. Yeah, that's my theme music. All right. So we go to item number 8, 2023-091, staff report, Mr. Williams.
Thank you, Mayor, members of council. This is kind of a sad item in some ways. Periodically, pursuant to the city's code of ordinances, certain issues and items have to come before an administrative hearing officer for the city. Zoning, the property maintenance code, personnel matters sometimes come before a hearing officer. Since 2017, the city has utilized the services of John McKinnon as our hearing officer, and he did a very good job for the city, but he unfortunately passed away a few weeks ago. And as a result, we are in need of a new hearing officer to hear these cases for the city. We've reached out to Ann Lund, just to give you a little bit of background on Ms. Lund. She has previously served as a Justice of the Peace Pro Tem for JP5. She's also served as the City Magistrate for Huachuca City. She's got quite a number of years of hearing officer background. She is familiar with court procedures, things like that. And she is willing to serve as the city's hearing officer for these cases that come up. And we only see maybe 3 to 5 a year that go before a hearing officer. But she is willing to serve for the city in that capacity. Obviously, she would get paid for her services. And monies have been budgeted in the city's budget for these services. And so that's what this item is for, is to approve and appoint her as the city's hearing officer for these cases.
Thank you, sir. Questions, comments? Yes, sir.
I have a couple questions. So the methodology was just to reach out and ask her if she wanted to run, or was this advertised to the legal community so they might have a chance to serve as a hearing officer?
Good question, Mayor, Councilmember Johnson. This was not advertised to the legal community per se. We have a case right now that needs to be heard fairly quickly, and so we didn't even discuss reaching out to the community at large. We did reach out to Charles Irwin, a retired judge. We had considered reaching out to Judge Conlog, Jim Conlog as well. It's just Ann Lund was ready and available and willing to do it at this point.
All right, I have another question.
Actually-
What is she charging for her services?
I was going to add on to what Mr. Williams was saying. We have also discussed, and it's our intent to have more than one hearing officer eventually, so we can certainly reach out to the legal community. But this will serve the more immediate need, and then we can have more people to call when we need them.
Okay, I just didn't want this to look like a good old boy appointment.
She's a good old gal. How about that?
Well, good old gal, good old boy.
So she hasn't told us what she would like to be paid. We have been paying Mr. McKinnon $75 an hour, and that's what we anticipate paying Ann
I think
Lund.
that's fair. I make 50.
Is the proposed person a attorney?
She is not an attorney, no.
You have any questions? All right, so we'll go to our next item. They have a call to the public and then comments and requests by the council. So now we go to item number B, briefing on Mary's Mission football camp.
I don't believe they're in attendance today,
I
sir.
thought Nate was doing it.
Yeah, I thought Nate was doing it.
I'm like, okay, Nate. Don't look like a football guy, but all right.
All right. So, all right, so.
Hope it went well.
Yeah. Okay. All right. So item number C, report of recent trips, meetings, and future meetings. You going on a trip?
Oh, yeah.
Yes. National League of Cities,
Yes.
NLC trip to Atlanta, Georgia.
Have fun.
Yes.
All right.
Looking forward to
Excellent.
that.
Yes, sir. Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so I just wanted to announce that the Transportation Commission meeting met for the second time on November 1st. Went over the different things on the agenda, talked about some of the comments from the people on the general plan. The meetings are recorded and stuff, so if anybody wanted to go back and take a look at them, they can do that. The next meeting will be on the first Wednesday of December, which is the 6th, I believe, here in the conference room upstairs. So if anybody would like to attend, the public is welcome to attend at 3:30.
Other questions? Other recent trips, meetings, future meetings? Yes, ma'am.
Future meetings, so the Tourism Commission will be meeting on the 13th, Monday, at 1 o'clock, I believe it, in the city manager's office, and that will be our first meeting, so that's going to be a good. And then the Arts and Humanity Cultural Diversity Commission will be meeting on the 15th at 4:30 at the OYCC.
All right, we'll go to discussion item number Delta, future discussion items and council requests. Ma'am.
Thank you, Mayor McCaw. The only thing I am currently tracking for a council meeting is council executive report at your last meeting of the year in December. There is one other thing I wanted to make sure council was aware of. We traditionally invite our state legislators to come in and have a conversation with us before the end of the year to discuss concerns of the city, what the upcoming legislative session might be like. And so we are tentatively looking at the dates of November 29th with November 30th as a backup. It would most likely be a business working luncheon, maybe 11 to 1, 11:30 to 1:30. So please tentatively mark your calendars and we'll send out the formal invite as soon as we confirm attendance with our legislators.
29th is better for me. I'll be out of town on the 30th.
We are hoping for the 29th, Mr. Benning. That was our primary date, but we also offer the 29th as a backup, or sorry, the 30th as a backup date.
Questions for Assistant City Manager? All right. Well, that concludes Delta, and we are, is there anything else?
One more thing.
Yes, sir.
Forgot, there's a Arizona Town Hall tomorrow morning for the youth. It's a Future Leaders Consensus Building. So it's on Zoom, 9 to 11 a.m. 8th grade to seniors. So they've been invites out. Mr. Dimitri Simonson sent out emails to people that are involved. So it's all via Zoom. And I also want to thank my daughter Marissa for being here on my birthday to hang out with me.
How old are you, man?
Huh?
How old are you?
46.
Young. Sweet.
46.
46.
Puppy.
Well, happy birthday.
Thank you. I have cupcakes. Everybody wants cupcakes. I have cupcakes. I have chocolate. I have vanilla. I have
If nothing else, we are adjourned.